Well, Lisa, we're back.
We are back.
Yeah, and no one makes back better than Lisa.
Really?
I don't know. Does that sound right? Baby got back.
Anyway, I'm with that. Welcome back, everyone.
It's that sexy back. Timberlake, Justin Timberlake.
I never know what's going to come out of his mouth. I'm just like, okay, let's roll it.
I'm over 60 and I see right?
He switched to Coca-Cola now, so.
Oh, man.
I needed some
I have to
caffeine.
check. If you're like alcoholic, you're fine.
Somebody
All
cut
right.
this guy off.
Here we go. You're back on the Be Encouraged show with Frank and Lisa on Monday afternoon. We're so glad that you would join us for hour number 2. We are the show that has a reach of 45,000 a week and growing as we reach the community of Colorado Springs and beyond with a good message of hope and encouragement. And today we get to have on the second show, Lisa.
Yes, super
four
excited.
Amazing humans, right?
Yes, so we
Look
got
at
the
Lisa, wait a
Chamber
minute.
Powerhouse
I know.
today.
Look how
I
happy
have
she is.
worked on this for like 2 months.
You should be wearing capes.
It is hard.
You should be wearing capes.
You should be wearing
That's a great idea.
Well, why don't you introduce them to
Okay,
us?
I will. Well, first of all, our panel host, Miss Johnna
Reader. Yeah.
Reader Kleymeyer.
Kleymeyer.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I completely butchered that. But I got Johnna right.
You did get Johnna.
Yes,
I just like to
okay.
keep everyone guessing. I answer to anything, so no worries.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being our panel host today.
My pleasure.
Love that. So you get to go first when we start drilling
Oh,
questions.
okay.
Don't be nervous.
Okay.
So she is the president of the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce. For those 2 of you who may not know her, she's She's fabulous. She's an expert in leadership, coaching, strategic planning, team building, image consulting, community development, crisis communications, government affairs, PR, project management, negotiations, communications, fundraising, labor negotiations, mentoring, public speaking, and event planning.
I think I just heard I'm old.
You got a lot going on, and I actually cut out a lot. So she has way more than
Well, she's an impressive
she
woman.
is an overachievement.
Obviously, yeah.
So welcome, Ms.
Welcome,
Thank you.
John.
Thrilled to be here,
Yeah.
especially with my colleagues. This is
Yes,
great.
indeed.
And Mr. Joe Aldaz. He is retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and U.S. Air Force Academy grad, seasoned leader in education, government, and nonprofits. And of course, we all know and love that he is the president and CEO of the award-winning Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Oh,
Thank you.
Welcome,
Yes.
Joe.
Thank you for your service, Joe.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your service.
Air Force, go Air Force.
Yes. I was an Air Force wife for 10 years. Love Air Force.
Here.
Yes. And Miss Kimberly Gold here to my right. She is the new president of the Colorado Springs Black Chamber of Commerce and is dedicated to building our community, bringing people together for positive change in neighborhoods, cities, and beyond. And she is focused on empowering military and veteran communities throughout their career. Welcome, Kim.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
We love you.
Welcome, Kimberly.
Right
She
back
loves
at you.
I love you.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, Frank is like he doesn't know it, but I said, Frank, you are my new daddy, so.
Frank.
So I always call him Papa Frank,
Yes.
always.
Oh, Frank.
Yeah, always call him Papa Frank, yeah.
Not
Yes.
daddy in the new
I was
thing.
just
It's Papa Frank.
Am I on the wrong show? It's taking a
I'm not gonna ask
We're
you who's
keeping
your
him on
dad.
point.
Keep it. Keep it. PG before 5 p.m.
PG.
PG.
Yes.
Late night
Let's be the
show.
drinks.
Yes.
Let's be the drinks.
It must be Frank Springer.
Oh my
Please enlighten us.
goodness. This is why he has me. I balance him. And of course, we have Miss Harmony Cabie-Quinto.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And you couldn't get Kleymeyer?
I
Wow.
know.
You normally pronounce it as Quinto when it's Quinto in the Philippines. Yeah,
Quinto.
and it's Cabie, and you got it right.
Yeah, thank you.
Good
Awesome.
I've been to the Philippines. Did you
should
know I was in the Philippines?
No,
once?
but now I do. I know. You're telling me. I know Joe lived there for 3 years.
You 3 years?
We were
Were you at
stationed there for
Anderson?
3 years. We were at a naval communication station called San
Oh.
Miguel.
Around outside Manila, right?
And it was about 28 miles from Subic Bay.
Subic Bay, okay.
We're there around that area too.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that,
I'm
gentlemen,
older
you
than
visited my beautiful country.
Yes, yes.
You're welcome.
Indeed.
So, Miss Harmony is the founding president and CEO of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Southern Colorado. And she is a self-confessed storyteller of her heritage. She was once upon a time the youngest member of the Philippine National Press Club at the age of 14.
Oh my.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, for me too.
10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for bringing harmony.
Yes.
That's
To the room.
Right.
We need it today.
Into the room, indeed. Joe, so Johnna, we have to start with you. First thing, when I first met you, I noticed an accent.
Oh, a bit, yes.
Yeah, just a little bit of an accent going on. So tell us, how did you end up as the president of the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
Where did you come from?
Well, I was told I needed to bring the Southern to Southern Colorado.
I was already here.
So I didn't want you to feel lonely. So yes,
Nice one.
I grew up in Tennessee, but spent but spent most of my career in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area.
Oh,
But I never lost the accent. It's part of
good.
who I am.
Oh, keep it, girls.
You know, when you're
Wonderful.
young, it bothers you when you're different than others. But I decided not to take diction lessons and just make it part of who I am. I don't notice it.
Love
Yeah.
I feel like you all have an accent. I don't have an
Yes.
Might as well.
That's
keep
our
our
problem.
accent,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
But Frank, I've been here 2 years now, and I'd like to say I got here as quick as I could to get to Colorado. It's a wonderful place to be. It's fast growing, and that's why I came to this area. I wanted to be in a part of the country that had lots of opportunity, that there were a lot of opportunity for talent to move, for us to decide what we wanted our city to be, our community to be in the future. And I like to be a part of a winner. So I think I found my home.
Oh,
Indeed.
yes.
Were you in the same role in Cincinnati area?
I was. I ran economic development for the 15-county region in southern Ohio, in northern Kentucky, and in southeastern Indiana. So,
3 states.
in 3 states,
Wow.
it's the metropolitan statistical area, just as ours is El Paso and Teller counties.
Right.
Those tend to be areas where they put more counties together because unfortunately they're losing population, which is not a part that we see in the West that's going on in the Midwest. So
Right.
that's why I wanted to come somewhere that we could build what this community was going to be and decide what companies were moving to the areas and what the talent profile was for the future. So it's fun to have growing pains in a community that we as chambers of commerce and myself as an economic development organization are trying to solve.
Indeed.
We're at in Tennessee. Are you from?
A dot on the road. So Frank said he's from a small town. I could probably rival you on that. It's in It's in the northwest corner of Tennessee. Memphis is the closest big city, and it's
Okay.
2 hours away.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
so I can relate to
My brother
to the
lives in
small town.
Memphis right
In
now.
Memphis.
Yeah, he does.
I lived in Mount Juliet, and I worked in downtown Nashville.
Well, I was
It
gonna
was
say,
a lot of fun. But back
beautiful
then I didn't
area.
know how to dance.
Oh.
No, now I know how to dance. I told my husband, I'm like, we got to go back to Nashville. And
She
get
married
our
a
dance
dance instructor.
Yes.
Well, it is
So
a
she could get a
fun
jam
place to
on.
visit.
Well, that's what he does at night. He's a software engineer in the day.
But that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
The dance
We have
is
fun,
the deal.
a lot of fun dancing.
But it's a good example because when I grew up 30 plus years ago in Tennessee, I'm like Harmony. We just started a few years ago. We'll say we're seasoned a little bit. Nashville was not that hot of a place to live.
No,
it
it
was
was not.
declining population. It was really kind of a honky tonk city that
Yep.
didn't have much going on, and they really put a stake in the ground on what they were going to be as a city,
Yes.
and really poured dollars and had the right leadership.
Yeah.
And now it is the place to live in Tennessee.
I left in 2009, right before
Right
the
before
big
it all
wave.
hit.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I liken much of what Colorado Springs and El Paso County are looking at today is
Yes.
we face growing pains.
Yeah.
How are we an inclusive city? How are we dealing with our infrastructure? How are we dealing with our roads? Some of it's not necessarily fun, but it's really important. And a city like Nashville did just that. Austin did just that.
Yeah.
We have to decide as Colorado Springs and El Paso, who are we in the future?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that, but.
I'm sure you'll let us know it today.
As long as we don't become Austin. As long as we don't become. Right. And as old timers, I'm telling you, I think we can grow without duplicating all of the things of the forward growth movements of other cities. There's a distinction in Colorado Springs that's very important to us that have been here a very, very long time. So growth can come with the distinction staying.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think it's possible.
Happy to talk about that, but I'll let my colleagues have another time too. So.
Joe Valdez, you've been here a very, very long time. And there's been some real shift demographically during our time here. You know, I never met a Hispanic person until I was an adult. There were no Hispanic people in North Carolina when I was growing up. And I had to join the Air Force to meet one. Right? In Colorado Springs, the first time I ever met a Hispanic person. Talk about the incredible, unsustainable growth that's happened among our Hispanic population, and your vision for that.
Well, it continues to grow. It's the fastest growing demographic in the United States right now.
Easily.
Obviously, there's several factors for that. But if you look at our country, it is a $2.8 trillion GDP resident in the United States, the Latino buying power and
Say that
economy.
number again?
2.8 trillion. Wow. That's larger than the countries of France, the UK, Italy. So, you know, that just shows you the increase not only in population, but the buying power, the small business growth, and just the demographic here in Colorado Springs. It's projected between 2040 and 2050 that the Hispanic population will be 40% of the entire population in this county. So, you know, we are making progress on cultivating that small business ecosystem for Hispanics. We need a lot more work. And also, as this population changes here, we need to be very intentional on how our decision-making bodies are going to look here in Colorado Springs. As we know, they're the whole old white guard is what a lot of our nonprofit boards, commissions look like, and we need to do something to change the diversity of that based on the merits of those minorities that are qualified to sit in those seats.
I'm glad you said that piece.
Because it's very important.
It is important.
And as you know, that's why we started the Adelante Leadership Institute, to develop a talent pipeline to start to move into some of those positions. And they will come out as qualified leaders. You know, we will be educating them, giving them board governance training. So we will have qualified candidates willing to serve on a lot of nonprofit boards and commissions. And it's going to take time. We have 12 in this program we're starting tomorrow, but over time we hope that starts to change in our community. And all of our boards here need to be very intentional when they're looking for candidates.
They do.
And I don't think that has been taking place a whole lot, but I am muscling myself into those nonprofit CEOs and nonprofit board CEOs to say, we have candidates who may not be coming through our program, but are resident here in Colorado Springs, and we need to look for them.
Indeed. Yeah, I serve on 4 boards here in the community myself, and I know there's a dearth of people, particularly people of color serving on boards, but people serving, period. I mean, in our community and coming on boards of directors and really helping our community in that forward movement. And you've done some great work, and we'll dial back in on that in a second because, I mean, I don't know whether to bow or
Don't bow. Just be willing to help us pay it forward.
You know I'm there, my friend. Girlfriend, I mean, meeting you several years ago, and one of my claim to fames in this community is that I was one of the first people to contact you, to be in touch with you, and look what's happened.
It's true.
Yeah, what's the vision over at the Black Chamber?
Oh man, we have a lot of work to do. Obviously, we want to connect with all of our partners here at this table, and we've done that through several avenues, specifically through our multicultural access program with the chamber, big chamber, as everybody says,
The big chamber.
the big chamber.
Oh.
But man, I'm so excited to take this baton from my predecessor, Rodney, and to move it forward. For me, honestly, one of the biggest goals, a lot of people don't know that as the Black Chamber, we don't have any paid positions. And I just think from a business model, that's unsustainable.
Yeah.
If you really want a chamber to thrive, you need to pay somebody. You need to put a dollar amount to the work that they're doing. So in the 2 years that I'm going to be here, that's going to be a big push for me.
Yeah, to make some money.
I mean, if I benefit from it, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Nobody will complain about that. My husband will certainly not complain about that. But I just think in order to really do the work and to really champion for the Black community in Colorado Springs, we need this to be a paid position. And that doesn't just go for the Black Chamber. I think that goes for a lot of nonprofit work, period.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Wow. We'll dial back in.
Okay, yeah. And if you want to dial back in with that wallet, that's fine too.
Wow. She just gave you that for free.
Maybe we won't dial back
So, Miss Harmony, I'm super excited to hear about the Filipino Chamber and all that you've got going on.
It's actually the new kid on the block.
Yes.
And chronological age, we may not be the youngest because I know that Kimberly is a baby. But we are less than a year old. We are turning 1 year old this May. The learning curve obviously has been very steep, and we knew that going in. So we are grateful that we were able to collaborate with as many as we can, the brilliant minds. Of course, Joe is one of them, has been helping us by sharing a lot of resources, sharing those best practices. Even Rodney, during his term, something as simple as lending us that huge pair of scissors during our launching, that was making a statement right there. I will help you cut things if you need our help. And all these things, and I was in a meeting with Stella Hodgkins earlier before I came here. It all went back to how she opened the door for us, because the Asian culture, we tend to keep to ourselves or more. We're not always out there. We tend to just stay within our circle. And that ELD program opened that door for us. And I had to thank her because now we were able to network with the likes of Joe and Rodney and Brent and all of those movers and shakers in the community. We do not come in strong in terms of number. There are approximately 16,000 Filipinos in Colorado, not as great as the number in California or New York or Chicago for that matter. We do not primarily consider moving to Colorado because we are a tropical country and we have snow here, but we have the military. That's why Filipinos are here. We are over 4,000 in Colorado Springs alone.
Yes.
And that group, we want to develop them because our members, they are comprised of entrepreneurs, small business owners, and professionals. We want to put it out there. There's nothing wrong with being a nurse. We love our nurses. They were our frontliners during the pandemic. But the Filipinos, although we are always thought of as, the nurses are the Filipinos, and the healthcare, we are more than that. We are in the IT, we are in the military, we are everywhere. Yes. And this is the area that we need to show to the people out there that we are everywhere. And the entrepreneurs, at a time when small businesses were closing down, our Filipino small businesses thrived. And because we have and Joe knows this, the bayanihan spirit. Remember, they suspended some requirements during the pandemic because some offices were closed. So people started cooking food from their homes. And at that time, it was allowed. And they thrived. Because of this bayanihan spirit, instead of calling the pizza place, they would check this website, check who's cooking Filipino food, and buy from there.
Nice.
Because we can check with Western Union, the Filipinos are the number one senders of money back home. They're making good business out of that because what we earn we send back home.
Right.
So we're not just supporting the local economy, we're also supporting our economy back home.
Yes.
And this ties with the military, dates back, way back, Second World War. We had American soldiers walking side by side Filipino soldiers during the Bataan Death March. We have a long history. That's why this makes sense, especially for veterans. When the time comes for them to decide, where would I retire at? Then Colorado Springs is there. Because this is a military community, and that's what we are relying on. The military presence, our small businesses, our other professionals, and that's a huge job for the Chamber of Commerce to put it out there. That's why we need the help of everyone, especially the big chamber, to help us come up with all these things, and we're grateful because we have the likes of Joe. So generous. We will be working together, Kimberly, and we will be.
I look forward to it, Harmony.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, we
I
have-
tell you, we don't have anything else come out of our opportunity to be together today, is that we can really and grab hold of this collaborative time. We're not competing,
Yes.
right? Yeah, speak to us, Johnna, about that your vision at the big chamber. Right.
Well, so our vision is we're the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corp. We spend a lot of time working to help businesses grow in our region or help businesses locate to our region. We spend a lot of time in government affairs. We're in Denver with 2 full-time lobbyists and 2 contract lobbyists representing that business voice from Southern Colorado. So there are some benefits to being large. We're one of the largest chambers and EDCs in the state of Colorado. But at the same time, we don't believe we can do it all. And we need our partners. We need our friends that have expertise with certain populations, with certain businesses. We do host the Small Business Development Center. We do a lot around small business, but we lean in, and I'm particularly pointing my 2 partners across the table from me. We launched last year a program called the Multicultural Access Program. So any chamber that represents a diverse population has been invited to the table to join us. And in that, I mean that their members of both the Black Chamber and the Hispanic Chamber can have the same benefits at the Colorado Springs EDC Chamber, access to our economic development, to our government affairs, to our trainings, the same member price that all of our members receive.
Nice.
Because we know that when you look at the data, that access is a real issue for those in underserved populations or it's underrepresented populations. They don't always have a seat at the table. As Joe referred to, the importance of being on boards, the importance of access to capital, women-owned businesses, and actually Hispanic-owned businesses are 2 that are called out specifically as not receiving the same access. That's why we called it an access program. So their chamber members are able to come to our table at the same benefits and pricing as our members, but they don't pay for that. They pay for membership in the other chambers, and we like to say we open the door. So how those chambers want to access and want to network with our members, that's up to them. But it's pulling that chair up to the table so that we're giving more opportunity. We think that's one way because we know that finance can be a barrier. Often those that are that are underserved businesses or underrepresented businesses are small businesses. They're trying to get their foot in the door. What Harmony was speaking to, they're leaving a different career after retirement and then starting a restaurant or a retail establishment. So we know it could be hard to be members of all of our chambers. So again, it is not about the money, it is about the access so that we can grow together as a community versus silos. And I don't think I think our organizations work really hard not to be siloed.
And it takes work
It does take
to
work.
not be
Yes.
siloed,
Yes, it
right? I
does.
mean, an incredible amount of work, because that's where humans kind of lean in
Sure.
naturally, right?
Yes,
To
but
the
I will
silo.
tell you, my two partners across, and it's only because Harmony, they're brand new,
Yeah,
it's by not having a scarcity mentality.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
all realize that all boats can rise if we're
Yes.
working together, and we're serving different reasons and constituencies. As Joe said, the leadership program that that they've undertaken, we have someone going through that leadership
Yes.
program. So it's all about realizing that we can all have success, and there's plenty of work to go around to support the business community. It not having a scarcity mentality of, well, we just do our thing on our own.
I
It's
want
the
you
coming
to
together.
address this.
Please.
Put it to bed, okay?
Okay.
Because there's an overarching thought in our community that the big chamber is only concerned with EDC spaces and big businesses coming in, and that they don't have a real active concern that's actionable in community towards small business. What say you?
I would say that's absolutely false. You can look at our membership. Over half of our members are small business. And in fact, I would call them, by the SBA standard, micro businesses. So those businesses that are under 15 employees. So for people to say that out of 1,000 chamber members, half represent small business. We have certain access at the state level that we're representing the small business voice. The predictive scheduling bill last year could have killed small mom and pop businesses that have hourly employees. We were fighting the good fight, and thankfully we were able to kill that legislation. I think what it might be, Frank, is we try to just get work done versus taking credit for the work. So often we won't advertise some of the work that we're doing on behalf of small business because our partners are involved with us. Small Business Week, we celebrated together with the Better Business Bureau and the SBDC. But for many years, we supported that financially and just didn't say anything. So I think it may be
Will
a
you
fact.
say anything going forward?
We do have an obligation to tell our
I think
story.
so.
And as Kimberly said,
Yeah.
if we didn't all have to raise money to make good things happen, we would give away all the credit. But I'm kind of like Kimberly. I want to work really hard, but it's okay to get paid for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it takes quality individuals to be on our teams. And then our volunteers are that might behind us. But our volunteers have day jobs. So
Absolutely.
it's very hard to have a
I was an
sustainable.
ambassador for 3 years
Oh,
with you guys.
wonderful.
So,
May I
yes,
just
yeah.
piggyback on that? We are proof.
Sure.
Their director for membership
Mhm.
reached out to us, and most of our members are small business owners. So I will be one of the first to say, no, they are actually concerned with business because we
Well,
are
we're trying
having-
to change the narrative.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not doing
narrative
this.
is
I'm
out
not
there.
doing this adversarially.
Yeah.
I'm doing
No,
this to
take it.
really.
But yeah, that's an
to
actual.
pump out in the community.
They
that
should
the
know that they do
narrative
reach
needs
out
be
to
changed.
those who
Yeah.
cater to
Thank you.
small
Yeah.
business owners. We're sitting down with them so that we can have a seat at this table with the big ones.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having her back.
I had to say something because they just reached out to us, and I said, no, they do reach out to those.
It
Well,
takes a village to
Takes
Yeah,
a
it
village.
does.
Yes.
We're looking at the
Takes a
chambers. We really is
No, we
important
do
in this
sincerely love each
community.
other and support each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I noticed
Yeah.
in this community. We do
Right.
support each other.
And this show is all about hope and encouragement.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
just wanted you to know. So
Yes.
if I throw a hard ball out there, it's not to try to undermine the work that's being done or expose someone in a negative sense. But we need questions answered
Yes.
in this community that are being asked. And a lot of times
That's
people
correct.
aren't, we're too close to our thing to be able to hear many
See.
times the things
From a
that are
distance,
being,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so.
I think part of it is the messaging, but I think part of it is our media and how they cover
True.
business organizations.
Tell
If
me
they
more.
went to John and said, I want to spotlight micro businesses through the Colorado Springs Chamber, that would change the narrative because the media is covering
Paging
big
media.
wins.
Oh.
They're not covering small business. And that's my challenge to the media and working with the GM, saying,
Asian
you know,
media, no, that's true.
it's great when you come once a year to us during Hispanic Heritage Month, but there are Hispanic businesses working throughout the year that are going to be those service providers to the big corporations that are coming here to Colorado Springs.
That's right.
You know, when it bleeds, it
So if you
bleeds.
have four executives in here telling the media, this is how you need to start messaging Colorado Springs, because there may be people that want to move to Colorado Springs to start a small business
Yes.
because they see the growth of corporations here saying, hey, I have these type of services that can feed into these big corporations here, and they need to do a better job.
I agree with that. I mean, I was reading, they have a Life article, and I immediately grabbed Life because I'm all about the city, right? And it's an article on Salida, a small business in Salida, with a guy who wears a giraffe mask around riding in a bike. And I'm like, we have way cooler things to talk about here in Colorado Springs than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think, and you know, Joe and I, we both sit on the KOA News Channel 5 Advisory Committee, and I think, you know, at least from my perspective, I see that KOA is doing a fantastic job of really trying to glean stories that are that aren't what we see as the big ticket stories, right? And I'm really excited with the partnership that we've had with them over the last year to develop more.
Well, I'm excited that you're on that
Well,
committee.
thank you.
Well, you know,
I had no idea that was.
Since this is live,
Yes.
this is the call out to KRDO, KKTV to start a similar type council, which would start to change the narrative and the messaging that goes out.
Yeah. Do you hear that, media folks? Right? There was a direct challenge from our executives in the chamber space for you guys to do better at highlighting our business. What's a big challenge that you're looking at entering this space right now? And you don't have to call anyone out here.
Yeah.
I mean, but what's a big challenge? that you're
Well, I mean, it's a good problem, so I'm gonna spotlight it. But when you have somebody as incredible as Rodney, right?
Mm,
And then
big
people are,
person.
right, and people are like, "Oh, you're the new Rodney."
Yeah.
No, I'm the me.
Yeah. So I think, you know, sometimes there is that there's this expectation that people have, right? And but I lean into it. I think it's a wonderful problem to have per se.
Yeah.
It means you just got to step up to the plate and do the work, right?
Yeah.
And I think it also, from a leadership perspective, I think people need to understand you can have a predecessor or a coworker or colleague that is doing amazing things. That doesn't take away your shine or who you are. You don't need to be them. Just be yourself and lean into who you are.
Absolutely.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I have to hang out next to him all day, so I feel that.
I don't
Yeah.
know whether to
If
be
this-
offended or.
Just a reaction to what Kimberly said. When people say your predecessor left huge shoes to fill, my mom used to tell me, "But darling, you have big feet. You don't have to worry about anything." And another thing that Gail said when she was always compared Oprah and all of that, you don't necessarily stand in someone's shadow. You're standing in their light.
Yeah.
Rodney is such a huge light.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shadow. You are standing in his light.
Yeah, and I feel it. I mean, I'm able to call him up and be like, "Hey, I'm going through this, that," and he's like, "Boom, boom, boom." I mean, even at this table, I know that out of all six of, well, the rest five, I have your numbers. If I have a challenge, I can pick up the phone and I can call each one of you, and I know you guys are going to workshop that with me.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful tool. There's no need to feel like you're in somebody's shadow, and but I do think it's interesting because I'm hearing it a lot, like, "Oh, you're the new Rodney, and but I just want to
That's why
project
my
that
wife-
message.
That's why my wife doesn't go anywhere with me.
That's what she tells you.
Nice one.
Sorry, friend. I've been married a long time. So.
Ooh, we need to have
You just hit my
coffee.
insecurity thing, right?
So Kimberly, I would just say that for me, the biggest sign of a leader is when you leave an organization and it continues to thrive and do even better.
Right.
So I think Rodney will do everything he can to help you be successful, but you're the new Kimberly. It's not,
Yes.
it's not, and you be sure to tell Rodney that I said you can do anything he can, but in high heels.
All
So-
right.
Well,
Girl
okay. Yeah. I'm
Sorry,
starting to
gentlemen.
feel the
You're outnumbered, Frank, and this is rare that we outnumber, so this is great.
I am accustomed on this show to being outnumbered. Now I'm so glad to see Joe come in. A dude, right?
Did you see that? How Joe picked up that cup and started to drink? I know that move, Joe. I know that move. When he picks it up and he drinks.
You did an incredible job articulating the space of the Filipino community and how you want to lead that forward, which is such a great thing. Numbers are so little, I mean, minuscule, given it by looking at others and etc. So what is some of the big, hairy, audacious goals that you have for the Filipino chamber?
Oh, we do have a lot. It's all about funding, like what Kimberly said. But no, that's always the challenge. We are grateful that we are a member of the coalition of the Filipino American Chambers of Commerce, because the challenge for us who are building it, and Joe has been very clear in saying a lot of things about this. We are the ones who are building the blueprint of how PAC-SOCO will be remembered in the entire existence of it. When Joe asked me during our night market, you remember this, Joe? He said, how many numbers do you have right now? And I somehow said around 75. And not felt bad because we were trying to reach 100. And then Joe said, do you know that we did not get to 300 plus right away? That on our first year, we were 22. And that was very encouraging to hear it from him and say, don't be discouraged. 70, 75 is a good number because we were aiming for 100, but we still have a few months to go. But to hear that from him was a really encouraging push that we are on the right track. Because not knowing anything about what is a good number on your first year, we just set 100, and we didn't. So we felt, well, did we fall short? We said no. When somebody like Joe tells you that, then you believe him. It's Joe, right?
He's been there.
It's Joe.
And
Respect.
And we have a lot of reasons why we do that. Especially when it comes to well-seasoned community leaders, not just number of years of age. We know that, but the length of time that you have served the community. The thrust would be, we are done with our first year. Normally in your first year, you put yourselves out there, you let your presence, we're done with that. With the expansion, best practices from the other chambers, we are launching Leadership Institute and also a business development program. We are sitting down launching it in June, but all the details are still under wraps. We have our POCs, we have our members who are plugged in. Katie Fiscal, Tribe graduate, will be the POC for our business development program. And we have so many talented people in our membership pool that we just want to elevate and empower them, because that's our mission: empowerment of entrepreneurs, elevation of professionals, and just watch out. It will be, but those are the big, aside from our first anniversary gala, of course, and all of you will be receiving invitations to join us.
And we'll all be there.
Save the date, May 11th.
We'd be happy to MC for you.
Yeah.
We
Call it
co-MC.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Will you be using the same verbiage with a wallet thing? But no, seriously, we have the first anniversary gala, May 11th. Please save the date. I will be emailing you, sending you the formal invitation.
Awesome.
And then June we will be launching this. We'll be reaching out to all of you once we sit down with our POCs, because we want to really give it. We are small in number, but we have this Filipino movement called Me Mom, Make It Happen, Make Us Matter, so that we won't be the silent minority no more. Because we're the second biggest Asian group in the U.S. Right? Yes.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add on to what Harmony said. I think the biggest struggle that smaller chambers have is just what she said, is the funding piece. Because our two main revenue streams are always gonna be members and sponsors. So you have to create a calendar that has events that you have sponsors that so hopefully support you. And then just churning out that membership, because, you know, we're a small staff of one. And a lot of our time is spent trying to sell a membership based on the benefits and value we have for that. But as we mature, I think if we understand our mayor's platform, he wants to have a more diverse and inclusive business community.
That's right.
That means to me that if you're a mature chamber and have specific programs that can develop the small business ecosystem, we should be one of those that can put in contract for services agreements to get city money to continue to build the small ecosystem.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the challenge we face, is other revenue streams that help lift us up versus the grind of bringing in members, finding sponsors, because that's what keeps us going versus having other streams of revenue other than member and sponsorship that help us grow and sustain ourselves long term. Because our sustainability is not members and sponsors. It's finding other revenue streams that will sustain you long term. And that's what we as Hispanic Chamber are trying to think about and figure out. You know, when Joe is gone in the next few years, you know, how do we continue to the momentum and still be here 10 years down the road?
Indeed. We have a question that we ask all of you, because, you know, when you're having dynamic conversations like we are today, time just flies by, you know.
I am looking at the time.
It does, yeah. You know, Johnna, I want to say this to you, because I've been in this community a long time, and you're just by the size of your chamber, you step into a leadership space of this whole thing, right? Your predecessor, no knock on him, and etc. But I'll be honest, I was glad to hear you were coming. Was that a knock? Was that a backdoor knock? But no knock on Dirk. I mean, you know, I don't mean for it to sound that way. But sometimes leadership, a change of leadership is really needed in order to build what our community needs. And thank you for what you've done so far.
Oh, thank you, Frank. I appreciate that.
In that space. And thank Dirk for all he did.
I was
and
going to
all
say,
of yours. Yeah.
leadership is an awesome responsibility,
Oh.
and it's if it were easy, anyone would do it.
That's right.
Everybody would be doing it.
And it's one thing to be on the sidelines, but when you're in the arena, when you are fighting the good fight and trying to make big things happen, you're never going to make everyone happy.
Never.
And there's so much that goes on that people just don't know
Yeah.
is happening behind the scenes. So my predecessor worked really hard to get us to the place he did, and he's enjoying good retirement now. And so I feel honored to be able to try to take it to the next level.
We're
It's
honored to
important.
have
Well,
you.
thank you.
And you've done a great job throughout the city being seen, because I didn't
Thank
even
you.
know what you did, but I'm like, who's the brunette with the blue eyes? And
Well, I
seriously, and they're like, oh, she's in your chamber, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I appreciate that. I'm glad to know those are my distinguishing
Well, I'm just
characteristics and
saying,
not others. So
because I
thank
knew you were everywhere all of a sudden, and
And
most other leaders aren't.
visibility is
That's
so important,
Yes.
because when you're trying to do this, and this is this siloed place
Yes.
that we're talking about, and this is
Right.
why we stay siloed many times. And you know, I will challenge your community, because your community really does like to not be as visible, right?
We're changing that.
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
do that.
Get it, Mark.
Hey, come
We're
on.
definitely changing that. We're
Get
putting
out here
ourselves
and
out
allow
there.
people to know what
We're
you
benefiting. We're
It
learning a
makes
lot.
a difference
Well,
when you're
mentorship.
visually out there.
Yeah.
And I think what we're trying to do about the silo piece is in 2022, I reached out to all the chambers. I reached out to the BBB and asked them, how are your networking events and your engagement? They said, well, you know, we're kind of getting the same people. They're not really growing.
Sure.
So what we asked the Better Business Bureau, can we co-host your breakfast with the bees mixer.
Mhm.
Lisa, to do it. So we increased that attendance from about 20 to 25 to about 60 to 70.
Nice.
So we're planning to do it again this year. Same way with the chambers.
Is BBB only once a year now?
No, they do it once a month, but we say, hey, we'll co-host 3 of those with you this year.
Oh.
So that's another opportunity for, co-branding, co-hosting, bringing more together. And we also asked all the chambers, how about we do business after hours together?
Yes.
And that's turned out to be a huge hit.
Wasn't that fun?
I mean, you're
That was
getting,
more fun than a man should
I
be
mean,
allowed.
we're having 120 to 150
Oh,
members.
Yeah.
So far, Johnna's chamber is going to do one in July, and then we're going to do one in September during Hispanic Heritage Month.
Mhm.
So we asked the other chamber executives we want to do one per quarter each year, because strength in numbers and
And they show the cohesion, and they show
Right.
that we're
And
really
you're-
attempting to do
He's also
stuff.
offering this to co-host their luncheons.
right.
Oh, that's
And we're doing a June
wonderful.
luncheon with
Yeah.
them. So that's
There's so much
that's
stuff
also
going
out
on, so I have to cut you guys off
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you to do one last thing for us before we end the show today. This show is about infusing hope and encouragement into our community and beyond.
Yes.
So, Kimberly, sell our community something that's hopeful and encouraging, and give them an opportunity to have a contact information from you.
Something hopeful and encouraging, and contact information. Well, contact information, I'll start there, cosblackchamber.com, and hopeful and encouraging. I would say, in this world, we are pressed to grow and move fast and move. And I think there is so much value and strategy in taking time to build something versus like just trying to grab everything on the table and go to every single thing. Take the time to really understand what your objective is, what your why is, before you run yourself ragged and you're like, man, it's been 9 months, I haven't seen so and so. I think we just run too fast, too hard. Just take some time and map it out.
Are you listening to yourself?
I am.
Yes.
This is advice.
Yes.
Because I've done that.
I've seen you do that. I have eyes on you, young lady. Yeah. Joe, same thing. Give us something encouraging and hopeful.
Well, what I would say is, Colorado Springs is a great place to live and grow a business. And what I would tell our community and all of our counterparts and colleagues is, working together, we can do more. And that's one of our mottos with our chamber, is working together, we can do more. And the more that we collaborate and partner, the more our community is going to grow, because businesses and people will see that the silo is going away, and we're seeing a lot of camaraderie and collaboration, especially when you host an event and you see all those brands together. They're going, this is changing, and it's a strong statement to the community. So that's what I would say. Working together, we can do more.
You've had pushback, my friend, and I know about it. You've had something, and you've stood in the face of all that pushback and said, no, I am going to continue to collaborate with other people that don't necessarily have to be Hispanic people. I'm going to continue to build the bridge.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
that.
Thank you
standing
for doing
strong.
that.
How do people reach out to you?
People can reach out to us, cshispanicchamber.com, and I'll even give out my phone number, 719-231-5353, and I'm always available.
Indeed.
And I would like to just do a quick shout out for La Vida coming up. What is the date on that?
La Vida is August 24th.
Yes.
It's at the Country Club of Colorado, and we're already planning it. We have some real tremendous talent that we're working with to try to bring
Thank you
to
for
the
saying
Colorado
that about
Springs
me.
community.
And do that in for free.
You see Joe smile now. Joe, I'm doing this for you.
We love you.
Yes.
We love Joe.
Johnna, same thing.
First, I'm just encouraged because I'm here with my colleagues today. We're all running so hard, and we're all trying to do really good work on behalf of this community. but it's fun to be in the room together and hearing all the good things going on. I'm also encouraged because we're partnering for the Mind, Body, and Business, the International Women's Day that is in March, so March the 8th, and our co-host this year will be the Southern Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce.
love that.
So I'm very excited because we've tried for a few years and finally got schedules together, and so it's just another encouragement of when we come together, we're stronger, and there's not enough money to go around to duplicate efforts.
Yes.
So we've got to be sure that we're working together, finding synergies, and then having clear accountability. So we're measuring outcomes and not just activity. So I'm encouraged. The best way to get us is www.cscedc.com. So Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Corp. And my phone number is on the website. So
Mine is too.
I was gonna say, people can reach me via my cell or email, but everyone should be encouraged because this is a great place to live, work, and play. And our customers are diverse, and so we should be sure that we're making sure that our tables are too.
Indeed.
I love that.
Young lady, same thing.
Oh, young lady.
Encourage
I'll start with the contacts. www.paxoco.org. That's with a double C. I'll follow suit. My number is 719-472-4381. I will always try my best and do my best to get back to messages. Anyway, we are hosting the National Convention of the Coalition of Filipino American Chambers of Commerce next year.
Great.
So we are a group of, the coalition is 40 chambers across the nation right now, but they hope to be around at least 50. So we're looking forward to that. Something positive. I will go back to an airport scene before I migrated to the United States, or like around 2 decades ago. Before entering the immigration, and I shared this when we launched the chamber, I turned around, looked at my dad, my mentor, and I asked him, how do I change the world now? And he answered, you start in your own corner of it.
I love that.
And that's what I always hold on to. So wherever we may be, even if we are in the most unexpected areas, we're still expected to change the world.
There you go. Thank you. Harmony. Yes, thank you for that. Well, that's it, guys. That's a wrap. And just so you guys know, we wanted to make sure that we spotlight our sponsors once again. Crescio, our friend Joshua Guerri, is passionate about uplifting the Southeast. And when you partner with his company, you'll learn how to automate your sales funnel using tools like ChatGPT. Visit Crescio.com for more information. Our dear friend Karen Butcher at WestCo Insurance, she's my agent.
She's mine too.
And she does an incredible job in the insurance space. WestCoInsurance.com and the amazing Karen Butcher. You want to get more leads for your business, visit us at BeEncouraged.net, become a sponsor, and get your business name out there to our growing audience of 45,000 and growing. Reach every week right now. Our platinum sponsors have seen an 80% ROI. Like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn to follow us on our journey to extend hope and encouragement and help people realize their potential through networking, collaboration, and community involvement. Also, we are planning a Be Encouraged conference later this year. Can we get you guys' buy-in right now?
Sounds
Sure
great.
can.
Right, yeah,
Send
yeah.
a date.
So we will send a day once we get this thing together, an encouragement conference here on the Front Range to help people be uplifted. You know, just because there's bitterness, division, hatred, and unkindness doesn't mean we have to participate, right? And we want to find people that aren't. The great Lisa Sennett and I are doing our darndest to create a new environment and culture in humanity. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, everyone. Again,
Thank you.
thank you all
Thank you
chambers
for
for coming.
having us.
You guys are incredible.
Yes.
Be Encouraged Show. We will see you again next week. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.